I'm just going to say this. Any media person that I see in person for the rest of my life who try to tell me LeBron James is good as Michael Jordan, I'm just going to slap the hell out of him right on the spot. Right on the damn spot. No question asked. The next person who walks up to me and say, LeBron James, who is amazing, as good as Michael Jordan or competes like Michael Jordan, I'm just going to slap the hell out of you right on the spot. And I'm going to take my chances with what you just.
Charles Barkley has never been scared to say the one thing other people in sports media try to soften. And this time he went right back at LeBron James. Not with a quiet little criticism, not with a careful TV answer, but with the same blunt energy that has made Chuck one of the most dangerous voices in basketball. Because while everyone else keeps dancing around LeBron's legacy, Barkley keeps saying the uncomfortable part out loud. In his eyes, LeBron is amazing. LeBron is historic. But the Michael Jordan conversation is still not as close as people want it to be. And that is why this story blew up again. Barkley was not just making a joke for television. He was sending a message. He is tired of people acting like longevity automatically wipes away everything Jordan did at his peak. LeBron has the numbers, the years, the scoring record, and one of the longest primes any athlete has ever had. But Chuck keeps looking at the same thing older players keep looking at. 6 finals, 6 wins, 6 finals MVPs, and the fear Jordan put into the league. Barkley is not saying LeBron is not great. He is saying greatness and Jordan-level dominance are not the same thing. 3 threes away from passing Kyle Korver. Kyle Korver can shoot that thing. 7 all-time. And his second in 30-point games now with 559. MJ's got 562. See, now no, Ernie, what? That's an amazing stat to talk about. Everybody, I don't get into debate about greatness. That one point explains Barkley's entire problem with the debate. To Chuck, LeBron's biggest weapon is time. He has lasted longer than almost anyone in NBA history, and that deserves respect. But when people use that longevity to attack Jordan's peak, Barkley pushes back. Because Jordan did not need 20-plus seasons to build his case. He did it in a shorter window with a cleaner finals record and with a level of control over the biggest moments that still feels different. That is why Barkley keeps exposing the part of the debate fans do not always want to admit. Longevity can make the resume bigger, but it does not automatically make the peak greater. And then came the retirement tour conversation. Reports said LeBron was not interested in a big farewell tour, no city-by-city celebration, no long goodbye, no season built around tribute videos and standing ovations. On the surface, that sounds humble, but Barkley looked at it differently. Chuck suggested that LeBron may not want that kind of spotlight because he knows the final version of himself is not the same player people remember from Miami, Cleveland, or the early Lakers years. That was a brutal read because it turned a quiet retirement choice into a legacy question. I think it's fair to say 3 more years from now, no, 2 more years maybe, but 1 more year definitely. So, LeBron's very calculated at things he does. So the whole world will know when it's his last year because him and his team, they probably want the farewell LeBron tour. So to answer your question, he doesn't know now, Ernie. But I do believe he's definitely coming back at least next year. The bigger point is simple. A farewell tour sounds great when the player can still control the show. But when a superstar is older, slower, and being tested by younger players every night, that same tour can become uncomfortable. Every arena would be celebrating the past while watching the present in real time. And with LeBron, even retirement talk becomes part of the larger legacy debate. That is where Barkley's criticism becomes bigger than basketball. He is not only talking about LeBron's game. He is talking about how LeBron controls the conversation. LeBron has always been one of the smartest athletes ever when it comes to media. When he speaks, the league reacts. When he hints at his future, every show starts debating it. When he says something about his roster, the front office feels pressure. That is why every LeBron comment becomes bigger than the quote itself. He has been the center of the NBA conversation for so long that even a small answer about retirement, roster help, or legacy can turn into a national debate. LeBron, what's your decision? In this fall, man, this is very tough. And this fall I'm gonna take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat. Miami Heat. That was the conclusion you woke up with this morning. That was the conclusion I woke up with this morning. Why? Like I said before, I feel like it's going to give me the best opportunity to win and to win for multiple years. That moment in 2010 still follows every LeBron debate, when he announced he was taking his talents to South Beach. He didn't just change teams. He changed the way stars moved, the way players used power, and the way franchises built around superstars. Some fans see that as player empowerment. Barkley has always viewed it differently. Chuck comes from an era where stars wanted to beat each other, not join each other. That is why he and so many older players keep bringing up Jordan and Kobe. They believe the old standard was to face the mountain, not search for a better road around it. And Barkley has been consistent about this for years. Even when LeBron was at the height of his power, Chuck criticized him. In 2017, when LeBron publicly talked about Cleveland needing more help and more playmakers, Barkley called it out. He didn't like the best player in the world speaking like the roster had abandoned him, especially when the Cavaliers had already spent big money and built around his window. To Chuck, that was not leadership. That was a superstar putting pressure on the organization while distancing himself from the struggle. 1. I have no problem with what LeBron said. I have no problem everything's not true. But most of that is true. I've done some stupid things in my life. That being said, I've been doing this job for 15, 16 years. I have never said anything personal about a guy and I'm never going to ever. All my criticism on any player or comments on any team is strictly about basketball. That exchange showed the real difference between them. Barkley criticized LeBron's basketball comments. LeBron fired back by bringing up things from Barkley's personal past. That is why many fans felt Chuck had touched a nerve. Barkley later made it clear that he was not trying to attack LeBron as a person. He was talking about basketball, leadership, and responsibility. And that is why people still bring that feud up today. It was not just a random TV argument. It showed how strongly Barkley felt about LeBron's public approach when things got difficult. And now, years later, the same criticism still follows LeBron in Los Angeles. The Lakers have made aggressive win-now moves, changed direction multiple times, and tried to keep his championship window alive. But when those moves fail, the conversation always comes back to the same question. Did the Lakers build the smartest roster, or did they simply chase the biggest names? That has followed LeBron in Los Angeles, too. The Lakers have made win-now moves, traded young pieces, shifted direction, and constantly tried to keep the window alive. But when those moves do not work, the blame often lands on the front office, the coach, or the supporting cast. Barkley's criticism is that LeBron cannot have influence when the team is built, then stand outside the wreckage when the plan fails. I think the frustration is I think that they have not treated it like we have a real shot of winning the championship. They've treated it like we have a shot at winning a championship. So they've been half measures. We'll make small moves around the edges. We want to keep our flexibility. The Westbrook trade is the easiest example people always bring up. The Lakers gave up important role players and balance for another star name, and the fit never looked natural. When it failed, critics used it as proof that building around LeBron's timeline can leave a franchise trapped. Barkley has always been direct about that kind of thing. He doesn't care if the name is big. He cares if the basketball makes sense. And in his mind, too many LeBron teams have lived in the same cycle. Push all the chips in, lose flexibility, then ask for more help when the roster becomes thin. That is why Barkley's MJ comparison keeps cutting so deep. It's not just about rings, it's about style, attitude, and the way adversity was handled. Jordan had to get punished by the Pistons before he broke through. Kobe had to survive ugly Lakers years before the franchise rebuilt around him. Barkley respects that kind of pain because he believes it reveals something about a player's competitive soul. LeBron supporters will say that's unfair because the modern NBA is different, and they have a point. But Chuck's argument is not about rules, it's about mentality. If they win a championship, I might put him with Kobe Bryant. In my opinion, LeBron is a great player and a great man. I got him one slip behind Kobe Bryant. I do. That is why Barkley's comments always create such a reaction. He's not afraid of LeBron's fan base. He's not afraid of social media. He's not afraid of losing access. He's been rich, famous, criticized, and praised for decades. So when he says something about LeBron, it feels different from a normal debate show take. It feels like a Hall of Famer who's been around every generation of basketball saying, "I know what I saw and I'm not changing my mind." That is why some fans call him a hater, but others see him as one of the last honest voices left. The stats conversation only adds more fuel. LeBron has said many times that he cares about winning more than numbers, and his fans believe the records are just a product of his greatness. But critics argue that the milestones have always mattered to the LeBron story. The scoring record, the triple-doubles, the longevity numbers, the year-by-year comparisons with Jordan, all of it keeps the debate alive. Barkley looks at those numbers and still asks the same question. Does playing longer mean you were better at your absolute best? For Chuck, the answer is still no. And that brings the whole thing back to the title. Charles Barkley exposed the uncomfortable part of the LeBron debate again, not by revealing a secret, but by saying the part that often gets buried under highlights, records, and career totals. LeBron is great, but the story around LeBron is always managed. The retirement talk is managed. The roster pressure is managed. The GOAT debate is managed. The response to criticism is managed. Barkley sees that and calls it out in the only way he knows how, loudly, bluntly, and without apology. That is why the feud has lasted this long. LeBron represents the modern superstar, powerful, calculated, media-aware, and in control of his own story. Barkley represents the old-school voice, emotional, direct, sometimes messy, but never scared to say what he believes. And when those two basketball worlds collide, the debate always becomes bigger than one quote. It becomes a fight over what greatness is supposed to look like. So love him or hate him, Charles Barkley is not backing down. He still has Jordan over LeBron. He still questions the way LeBron handles criticism. He still believes some parts of LeBron's legacy are protected by media power and narrative control. And every time the GOAT debate comes back, Chuck gives the same answer in a different way. LeBron can have the numbers, the records, and the longevity, but Michael Jordan still has the standard Barkley refuses to lower.